King Charles rides on horseback with Princess Anne and Prince William to lead birthday parade. Inside the palace, the corridors were alive with gentle activity. Courtiers moved quietly, arranging flowers, checking schedules, and ensuring every detail for the day's event was perfect. Today was special, not just for the royal family, but for thousands of people across the country who would be watching and celebrating. It was the day of the grand birthday parade, an event that combined tradition, ceremony, and the joyful presence of the royal family. King Charles woke earlier than usual, as he always did on days filled with ceremonial duties. The early morning light filtered through the tall windows of his private chambers, casting a golden glow on the polished furniture and delicate paintings that lined the walls. He rose from his bed with a sense of purpose. His mind was calm but focused. He knew that the parade was not only a celebration of life, but also a moment to connect with the public, showing leadership, warmth, and a sense of continuity in the royal traditions. After a quick breakfast of lightly toasted bread, fresh fruit, and a cup of tea, Charles made his way to the palace stables. The scent of hay and polished wood filled the air, accompanied by the soft whinnies and gentle snorts of the royal horses. The stables were immaculate, reflecting the care and respect given to these magnificent animals. Each horse had been trained for years to participate in ceremonial events, accustomed to crowds, music, and the rhythm of a parade. Princess Anne and Prince William were already at the stables, reviewing the preparations with the royal equerry. Anne's expression was serious but kind, showing her deep respect for the traditions she had grown up with. William, with his usual calm confidence, checked the bridles, reins, and saddles, making sure everything was perfectly in place. The three of them had ridden together before, but every parade brought its own excitement, anticipation, and responsibility. Charles approached the horses with the quiet familiarity of someone who had spent a lifetime around them. His hands ran gently over the coats of the horses, feeling the warmth and strength beneath the smooth hair. He whispered soft encouragements, stroking their faces and adjusting the harnesses. The horses, sensing the calm energy of their riders, responded with gentle nods and soft movements. It was a moment of connection between human and animal, one built on trust and mutual respect. While Charles and his children prepared, the palace staff moved like a well-rehearsed team. Attendants adjusted the ceremonial uniforms, polished the buttons, and ensured that every detail of the presentation was flawless. A sense of quiet excitement filled the air. The staff knew the importance of their roles, and each small action contributed to the larger spectacle that would soon unfold in front of thousands of onlookers. Outside the stables, the first signs of the crowd were beginning to gather. People had arrived early, eager to catch a glimpse of the royal family and be part of the festive atmosphere. Flags waved gently in the breeze, and cameras clicked quietly as spectators prepared for the main event. The energy was one of anticipation and joy. For many, seeing the royals in person, riding side by side, was a moment they had waited for years. Back inside, Charles, Anne, and William were almost ready. The horses were saddled and calm, their manets brushed to shine in the morning light. The riders checked their own attire, ceremonial coats polished, boots gleaming, and hats adjusted perfectly. Every detail mattered not for vanity, but to show respect for the tradition and the people watching. Charles paused for a moment, taking a deep breath and looking around at the scene. He saw the dedication of the staff, the beauty of the stables, and the strength of the horses. It reminded him that this parade was more than a display. It was a symbol of unity, pride, and continuity. Anne spoke softly, "Are the horses ready? I don't want any surprises." Her voice carried a calm authority, reflecting her years of experience with equestrian events and royal ceremonies. William nodded, giving a small smile. "Everything is perfect. They're calm and the crowd is patient. It's going to be a great parade." Charles responded with a quiet nod, satisfied that everyone and everything was prepared. As the sun rose higher, spilling warm light over the palace grounds, the sense of anticipation grew. The royal family took a few moments to walk among the horses, offering gentle words and small touches that calmed both the animals and themselves. Charles adjusted a saddle strap and checked the reins, and William ensured that each horse would follow the formation precisely. It was a delicate dance of coordination, requiring patience, focus, and mutual understanding between riders and horses. The staff and officials also played a critical role. They moved quickly yet unobtrusively, guiding horses into position, carrying ceremonial flags, and ensuring that everything followed the established protocols. The palace had perfected the timing and choreography over decades, but every parade had its own unique energy, influenced by the weather, the crowd, and the mood of the day. Today, the mood was bright, hopeful, and filled with a quiet excitement. Finally, Charles climbed onto his horse, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility and pride. Anne and William followed, each mounting with grace and confidence. The three of them paused for a moment at the entrance of the parade grounds, looking out at the gathering crowd. Children waved eagerly, adults held cameras and flags, and the general sense of excitement was palpable. Charles took a deep breath, savoring the quiet before the spectacle began. He whispered to himself, "This is for them, for the people." Anne and William exchanged a glance, sharing an unspoken understanding. They were not just participating in a parade. They were part of a living tradition, connecting with generations past and present, carrying forward a legacy of service, dedication, and pride. As the first notes of ceremonial music floated through the air, Charles felt a sense of calm determination. He guided his horse forward, signaling Anne and William to follow. The parade was about to begin, and the morning had set the perfect stage. Everything, the careful preparations, the polished uniforms, the calm horses, and the enthusiastic crowd, had come together. The royal family was ready, poised to lead with dignity, elegance, and a touch of personal warmth. In that quiet, golden morning light, surrounded by the gentle sounds of the stables and the distant cheers of the crowd, King Charles, Princess Anne, and Prince William shared a moment of connection and anticipation. They were ready to step into history once more, leading the birthday parade with the grace, respect, and pride that defined their family. The world would soon watch as they rode together, a living symbol of tradition, unity, and celebration. The parade grounds were alive with activity as the morning light grew stronger, casting a warm glow over the crowd that had gathered to witness the royal procession. Thousands of people lined the streets, waving small flags, holding cameras, and whispering excitedly to one another. The air was filled with anticipation, and even the soft rustle of leaves seemed to join the chorus of expectation. Everyone wanted a glimpse of the royal family, especially the king, Princess Anne, and Prince William, as they prepared to lead the parade on horseback. King Charles, Anne, and William rode slowly through the grounds, allowing the horses to adjust to the crowd and the music that floated toward them from a distant bandstand. The ceremonial music was lively yet dignified, with drums, trumpets, and soft strings combining in a melody that reflected centuries of royal tradition. Charles guided his horse with calm precision, feeling the rhythm of the parade as it began to take shape. Anne and William followed closely, keeping their formation perfect, their expressions poised but welcoming. The crowd responded immediately. Children pressed against barriers, waving small flags and pointing excitedly at the royal family. Adults smiled and waved, some quietly cheering, others taking photographs or recording videos on their phones. The energy was contagious, and even the palace staff who were managing the event could feel the excitement. It was a moment that required careful balance, maintaining formality while also radiating warmth and connection. Charles understood this well. He raised a hand in a gentle wave, and the crowd responded with cheers and applause, a sound that resonated through the air like a wave of joy. Anne's horse moved gracefully beside her brother-in-law, her eyes scanning the crowd with a mixture of vigilance and affection. She caught sight of an elderly couple who had traveled many miles just to be there. She gave them a small nod and a warm smile, a gesture that spoke volumes about her connection to the people. William, ever calm and collected, subtly encouraged his horse to keep pace with his father and aunt, all while maintaining a perfect posture that reflected the years of training and experience he had in ceremonial events. The parade route stretched through a wide avenue, lined with historical buildings, gardens, and monuments that added grandeur to the occasion. Flags hung from balconies, and colorful banners swayed gently in the breeze. The morning sun glinted off polished brass fixtures and the gleaming hooves of the horses. Every detail had been planned meticulously, yet the energy of the live audience added an unpredictable charm to the procession. Charles felt a quiet satisfaction as he observed the harmony of tradition, preparation, and public participation. As the horses moved steadily, the royal trio began to interact subtly with the crowd. Charles occasionally raised his hand in acknowledgement of particularly enthusiastic spectators, his eyes meeting theirs for brief moments that conveyed sincerity and gratitude. Anne leaned slightly forward, speaking softly to her horse while scanning the crowd for faces of interest, showing her skill in maintaining attention to both her surroundings and her animal. William occasionally nodded and smiled at cheering children, his presence calm yet reassuring. Despite the grandeur of the moment, there was a very human side to the experience. The horses, though trained and disciplined, were sensitive to their surroundings. A sudden cheer or a snapping camera could startle them momentarily. Charles and Anne handled each instance with quiet authority, gently guiding their horses forward and calming them with a touch or a reassuring word. William's steady hand and confident posture reinforced the calm energy, and the horses responded beautifully, moving with grace and composure. Along the route, the crowd's enthusiasm continued to grow. Street performers and local musicians had gathered at different points, adding their own festive contributions to the parade. Children waved brightly colored balloons, while families brought homemade banners to show their admiration for the royal family. The combination of ceremonial elegance and lively street celebration created an atmosphere that was both majestic and personal, a perfect reflection of the day's purpose. A birthday celebration that united tradition with the joy of the people. Charles, Anne, and William maintained their formation as they led the parade past significant landmarks. The king occasionally glanced at the younger members of the family, exchanging small, reassuring gestures that spoke to their shared understanding of duty. Anne's eyes were alert, her posture impeccable, and her gentle yet firm guidance of her horse demonstrated her deep connection to both the animal and the ceremonial role she fulfilled. William, following the lead of his father and aunt, moved with quiet precision, embodying the balance between youthful energy and royal decorum. The horses themselves were impressive to behold. Each one carried its rider with confidence and poise, trained to respond to subtle commands and maintain composure, even amidst the noise and excitement of the crowd. Their coats gleamed in the morning sunlight, and their movements were smooth, almost as if choreographed for a dance. The spectators marveled at the sight, capturing the moment with cameras and cell phones, and sharing their joy with friends and family nearby. It was a moment that combined beauty, history, and human connection in a way that few events could replicate. As the parade continued, Charles occasionally signaled to the band to adjust the tempo slightly, ensuring the horses could move comfortably while keeping the rhythm of the procession. Anne made small adjustments to her horse's pace, her eyes scanning the crowd for any distractions or unexpected events. William mirrored their attentiveness, subtly adjusting his reins and posture to maintain the perfect formation. Their teamwork was seamless, reflecting not only years of training but also an unspoken understanding of each other's movements and intentions. In the crowd, excitement and admiration grew with every step. Spectators waved more vigorously, some clapping in rhythm with the music, others calling out words of encouragement or joy. The royal family responded with gestures that were small but meaningful, a wave, a nod, a smile. These moments created a bridge between the ceremonial and the personal, reminding everyone present that the parade was not only about tradition, but also about connecting with the people who admired and supported the monarchy. Alongside the main parade, support staff moved discreetly, ensuring the smooth flow of the procession. Marshals guided the crowd, kept pathways clear, and coordinated with the band and other participants. Their efforts were unseen by most of the spectators, but essential for maintaining the dignity and safety of the event. Charles, Anne, and William, fully aware of the team supporting them, rode with a calm confidence that reflected their trust in everyone working behind the scenes. As the parade reached a wide square in front of a historic monument, the music swelled, and the crowd's cheers reached a crescendo. Charles allowed himself a brief moment to take in the scene, the colorful flags, the smiling faces, the horses moving in perfect formation, and the sense of shared celebration. Anne leaned slightly toward William, whispering something inaudible but clearly reassuring. William responded with a small nod, understanding without words, showing the quiet unity of the royal family as they moved together through the ceremonial event. Despite the meticulous planning, there were small, unpredictable moments that kept the experience lively. A sudden gust of wind sent banners fluttering more energetically than expected, causing a brief stir among some of the younger horses. Charles, with his years of experience, guided his horse calmly, giving a soft command that reassured both the animal and the spectators nearby. Anne followed suit, her steady voice and gentle touch restoring calm immediately. William, keeping his focus, adjusted his reins subtly, demonstrating the careful balance between control and patience that was required for such events. The combination of human and animal effort, the interaction with the crowd, and the flow of music and banners created a parade that was both majestic and intimate. It was a celebration of tradition, a demonstration of skill and grace, and a reminder of the bond between the royal family and the people. Each step forward reinforced the idea that this was more than a display. It was a shared experience, connecting generations of spectators with the living history of the monarchy. By mid-morning, the parade had reached a significant turning point along the route. The crowd's excitement was palpable, and the royal trio's leadership was evident in the smooth progression of the horses and the coordination with the band and other ceremonial participants. Charles's calm authority, Anne's precision, and William's steady presence combined to create a spectacle that was as dignified as it was joyous. Spectators applauded, cheered, and waved, creating an atmosphere of shared celebration and admiration. For King Charles, Princess Anne, and Prince William, this part of the parade was a testament to preparation, discipline, and connection. They moved through the streets with grace, acknowledging the people, guiding the horses, and maintaining the ceremonial standards that had been expected of them for generations. And yet, beneath the formal appearance, there was a warmth and humanity that shone through in every wave, nod, and gentle word spoken to the horses. It was this combination of dignity and personal connection that made the parade memorable for both the participants and the spectators. As the morning progressed and the parade moved closer to the main square, the royal trio maintained their focus, aware of the importance of each step and gesture. Charles occasionally glanced at Anne and William, offering small signs of reassurance and pride. Anne responded with a gentle nod, while William's quiet confidence continued to guide the pace. Together, they led the parade through the streets, creating a spectacle that balanced tradition, celebration, and personal connection in a way that was truly remarkable. The morning had fully blossomed into a bright and cheerful day as King Charles, Princess Anne, and Prince William continued to lead the parade through the streets. The sound of ceremonial music filled the air, accompanied by the rhythmic clip-clop of the horses' hooves on the cobblestone streets. The crowd seemed to grow with every step, people arriving from nearby streets and corners to catch a glimpse of the royal family. Flags waved in the sunlight, and colorful banners hung from the buildings, creating a festive atmosphere that felt both lively and dignified. King Charles rode at the front with calm authority. He had led many ceremonial events before, but there was always something special about a birthday parade. It was not just a show of tradition. It was a moment to connect with the people, to see their smiles, and to feel the energy of celebration around him. His posture was straight, and his hands moved gently yet firmly on the reins, guiding his horse with the skill of someone who had spent a lifetime around these magnificent animals. Princess Anne rode slightly behind him, her eyes alert yet kind. She knew how to balance precision and warmth, ensuring her horse followed perfectly while also acknowledging the crowd. Her movements were smooth and confident, each gesture calculated to maintain elegance while showing a personal touch. She waved occasionally, nodding toward children or adults who cheered enthusiastically. Each smile she shared seemed to light up the crowd even more, adding a human element to the grandeur of the parade. Prince William followed closely behind his father and aunt, demonstrating his own calm confidence. Though younger, he had learned the importance of patience, focus, and grace. His horse moved smoothly under his guidance, responding to the subtle shifts in his hands and the gentle pressure of his legs. He occasionally glanced at the crowd, offering small smiles and nods, making the spectators feel seen and appreciated. There was a quiet charm to his presence, a combination of royal dignity and approachable warmth that resonated with the people around him. The streets through which they passed were filled with excitement. Children waved their little flags with enthusiastic energy, shouting words of encouragement and delight. Adults clapped, cheered, and sometimes held up cameras to capture the moment. Some had traveled long distances just to witness the parade, bringing blankets to sit on, picnics to share, and a sense of anticipation that seemed to ripple through the air. The royal family noticed these gestures, understanding that this celebration was as much for the people as it was for the ceremony itself. The music played on, a mixture of trumpets, drums, and string instruments that seemed to match the rhythm of the horses. The band, positioned at intervals along the route, adjusted their tempo to keep pace with the parade. The sound was powerful yet controlled, carrying a sense of dignity that complemented the visual spectacle. King Charles occasionally signaled to the band, subtly directing the rhythm to ensure the horses moved comfortably and the crowd experienced the full majesty of the event. Anne's horse, a strong and graceful mare, seemed to sense the excitement of the moment. She moved with elegance, her mane shining in the sunlight, her steps measured and precise. Anne guided her gently, adjusting her posture and reins to maintain perfect balance. She glanced at the crowd and saw children pressing against the barriers, waving their hands and calling out excitedly. She raised a hand in acknowledgement, and the children's cheers grew even louder, creating a moment of connection that transcended the formal nature of the parade. William, riding his horse with steady confidence, noticed a group of elderly spectators waving quietly. He gave a small nod and a gentle smile, acknowledging their presence. The simple gesture was enough to make them feel recognized, and their faces lit up with delight. These small moments reminded everyone that the parade was more than just a procession. It was an opportunity to bring people together, to create memories, and to celebrate life with shared joy. The streets themselves added to the grandeur of the parade. Historic buildings lined the route, their walls decorated with flags and banners. Balconies were filled with spectators who had arrived early, waving and cheering as the royal family passed. Gardens along the street were trimmed perfectly, adding splashes of color to the scene. Even the paving stones seemed to reflect the light in a way that made the horses' hooves shine as they moved. Every element combined to create a sense of harmony, beauty, and festivity that was both impressive and comforting. As the parade progressed, Charles, Anne, and William began to engage subtly with the crowd. Charles raised a hand in a gentle wave, making eye contact with people who had traveled from far away. Anne nodded and smiled, acknowledging children holding balloons and banners. William occasionally tipped his head, a small gesture that carried warmth and respect. These interactions, though brief, were meaningful. They reminded the spectators that the royal family valued the time, effort, and enthusiasm of everyone present. Despite the careful preparation, the parade was not without small challenges. The horses, though trained for such events, were sensitive to sudden movements, loud noises, or unexpected gestures from the crowd. A camera flash from a young photographer caused one of the horses to startle briefly. Charles, with calm authority, guided his horse forward with gentle pressure and soft words, easing the animal back into rhythm. Anne did the same with her horse, maintaining a sense of control and reassurance. William mirrored their actions, ensuring the formation remained perfect. The quick handling of these small surprises highlighted the skill, patience, and experience of the royal riders. Alongside the main parade, support staff worked quietly but efficiently. Marshals guided the crowd, ensuring that spectators stayed behind the barriers. Attendants coordinated the placement of banners and flags, while assistants monitored the horses and riders, ready to step in if needed. Their work was largely invisible to the crowd, but it was essential to maintaining the smooth flow of the event. Charles, Anne, and William relied on this team completely, trusting their guidance and expertise to ensure the parade proceeded without incident. As the procession moved through the main avenues, the energy of the crowd grew even more. Children waved flags with increasing excitement. Adults clapped in rhythm with the music, and occasional bursts of cheering erupted as the royal family passed by significant landmarks. Charles allowed himself a brief glance at the spectators, feeling the warmth of their appreciation and the joy of the celebration. Anne, aware of every detail, adjusted her horse's pace slightly to maintain alignment with her father and brother. William remained steady, balancing his focus between the formation, the crowd, and his horse's movements. The combination of formal elegance and human warmth created a unique atmosphere. The crowd could feel the pride, tradition, and dignity of the monarchy, but they could also see the personal touch, the gentle gestures, the smiles, the connection between riders and spectators. It was a delicate balance, and Charles, Anne, and William executed it with remarkable skill. Their presence brought together history, ceremony, and celebration in a way that left a lasting impression on everyone present. As the parade continued, the royal trio approached a large square, where the crowd had gathered in even greater numbers. The square was surrounded by historic buildings and decorated with colorful flags, creating a stage for the next phase of the procession. The music swelled, the horses moved in perfect formation, and the crowd's excitement reached a new peak. Charles allowed a small, proud smile, acknowledging the energy and enthusiasm of the spectators. Anne and William shared a brief glance, a silent understanding that this was a moment to savor, a moment that would be remembered long after the parade ended. Throughout the morning, Charles occasionally communicated with his children through subtle gestures. A nod, a small shift in position, or a brief glance conveyed instructions, encouragement, or reassurance. Anne responded with a quiet confidence, her movements precise and controlled. William mirrored their focus, ensuring that the formation remained perfect and that the horses moved gracefully. This silent communication reflected not only their training, but also the deep bond between the three of them, a combination of respect, trust, and shared purpose that made the parade seamless and captivating. As the mid-morning sun cast a warm glow over the streets, the royal trio maintained their pace, guiding the horses through the avenues with dignity and elegance. The crowd responded with cheers, waves, and applause, creating a lively and joyful atmosphere. Charles felt a sense of fulfillment as he observed the scene, the energy of the spectators, the beauty of the horses, and the smooth coordination of the parade. Anne's smile, William's calm confidence, and the gentle strength of the horses all combined to create a moment that was both ceremonial and personal, majestic yet approachable. Every step of the parade reinforced the connection between tradition and the people. Charles, Anne, and William led with grace, ensuring that each movement, wave, and gesture reflected both the history of the monarchy and the joy of the present celebration. The horses responded perfectly, moving in harmony with the music, the formation, and the energy of the crowd. Spectators could feel the care, patience, and dedication that had gone into every detail, creating a sense of unity and shared happiness. By late morning, the parade had reached a significant turning point. The streets were filled with spectators, their excitement palpable. The royal family's leadership was evident in the smooth flow of the procession, the perfect coordination of the horses, and the elegance of the riders. Charles, Anne, and William continued to wave, smile, and acknowledge the crowd, creating moments of connection that made the celebration feel personal and meaningful. The parade was not only a display of tradition, but also a living celebration of life, community, and the enduring bond between the monarchy and the people. The parade had now reached the heart of the city, where the streets opened into a wide, sunlit square. The air was filled with the rhythmic sounds of hooves, the stirring melodies of the band, and the cheers of thousands of spectators. King Charles, Princess Anne, and Prince William led the procession with poise, their horses moving gracefully in perfect formation. It was a moment of majesty, yet beneath the formal appearance, there was an energy of celebration that rippled through the crowd and back to the royal family. Charles, riding at the front, felt the weight of both responsibility and pride. Leading the parade required not just skill with the horse, but also awareness of the crowd, the music, and the ceremonial timing. Every gesture mattered, each wave, nod, and movement carried meaning. He guided his horse steadily, eyes scanning the crowd to connect with as many spectators as possible. Anne and William followed closely, mirroring his posture and attention, creating a visual harmony that drew admiration from all who watched. The crowd had grown even more enthusiastic. Children pressed forward against the barriers, waving flags and calling out excitedly. Adults clapped and cheered, capturing photos and videos to remember the moment. The square itself had been decorated for the occasion, with colorful banners fluttering in the gentle breeze and flowers arranged in carefully planned displays along the streets. The combination of historical architecture, ceremonial regalia, and public celebration made the scene feel timeless, as if the past and present were coming together in perfect harmony. As the royal family rode deeper into the square, a sudden, unexpected sound broke the rhythm. A loud clap from a nearby street performer startled one of the horses. The animal lifted its head and shifted its footing, creating a moment of tension in the otherwise smooth procession. Charles's years of experience immediately took over. With calm authority, he adjusted his reins, spoke softly to the horse, and guided it back to a steady pace. His voice, low and reassuring, seemed to calm not only the horse but also the spectators who had noticed the brief disruption. Anne reacted quickly as well. She leaned slightly forward, her hands gentle on the reins, and murmured comforting words to her horse. The mare responded almost immediately, regaining its composure and falling back into the rhythm of the parade. William mirrored his father and aunt, keeping his horse steady and maintaining the integrity of the formation. The moment was brief, lasting only a few seconds, but it showcased the skill, patience, and calmness required to lead a parade of this scale. It reminded everyone watching that beneath the ceremonial elegance, the royals were trained, prepared, and ready to handle unexpected events with grace. The crowd's response was remarkable. Rather than alarm, there was a wave of applause and cheering, as if the spectators were celebrating not just the parade itself, but the ability of the royal family to handle challenges with poise. Children waved more vigorously, adults clapped in rhythm with the music, and some even laughed with delight at the brief moment of excitement. The incident, rather than disrupting the parade, added a touch of human reality to the otherwise perfectly orchestrated event. Charles allowed a small, approving smile as he guided his horse forward, acknowledging the subtle bond between rider and animal. Anne followed, her expression calm yet attentive, ensuring that the parade continued smoothly. William's steady gaze and gentle movements reinforced the stability of the formation. Together, the three of them exemplified a combination of authority, skill, and empathy that made the moment both impressive and relatable. As the parade moved through the square, the energy of the crowd continued to build. Children waved their flags with greater enthusiasm, and adults clapped along with the rhythm of the music. The royal family's interaction with the crowd became more relaxed, yet still dignified. Charles occasionally raised a hand in a gentle wave, while Anne smiled and nodded at spectators who had traveled long distances to see the procession. William's calm presence reassured both the horses and the crowd, creating a sense of continuity and stability that was deeply appreciated. The horses themselves were remarkable in their behavior. Trained for years to participate in ceremonial events, they responded to subtle cues from their riders, moving in perfect synchronization with the music and the formation. Their coats glistened in the sunlight, their hooves struck the pavement with rhythmic precision, and their expressions conveyed both strength and intelligence. Spectators marveled at the sight, pointing out details to friends and family, taking photographs and sharing the joy of witnessing a moment of true elegance. Amid the grandeur of the parade, there were small, humanizing moments. A young boy pressed forward, waving his flag energetically. Charles caught sight of him and offered a brief nod and a wave. Anne noticed a little girl holding a handmade banner and gave a warm smile. William, observing an elderly couple standing near the edge of the square, inclined his head respectfully. These simple gestures created a connection between the royal family and the people, a reminder that the parade was not just about ceremony, but also about celebrating life, community, and shared joy. The square was also a stage for other participants in the parade. Musicians, flag bearers, and attendants moved alongside the horses, each contributing to the spectacle in a coordinated manner. Their efforts required precision and timing, and the royal family's leadership ensured that everything flowed seamlessly. Charles occasionally adjusted the pace, signaling to the band to maintain the right rhythm, while Anne and William made subtle corrections to the horses' alignment. The result was a parade that appeared effortless, though it was the product of careful planning, skill, and teamwork. As the procession continued, Charles allowed a moment of reflection. He glanced around at the crowd, the historic buildings, and the carefully arranged decorations. He thought of the generations of royal family members who had participated in similar events, the tradition that had been maintained, and the joy that had been shared with countless spectators over the years. Anne and William seemed to share this sense of connection, their expressions calm yet proud. The moment was fleeting, yet it captured the essence of the parade, a living tradition that combined ceremony, celebration, and human connection. Despite the careful orchestration, there were more small surprises. A gust of wind caused banners to flutter more vigorously than expected, brushing lightly against one of the horses. Charles remained steady, guiding his horse with gentle authority. Anne adjusted her reins, whispering softly to her mare, and William subtly corrected his horse's position. The moment passed quickly, but it demonstrated the constant awareness and adaptability required in leading a parade of this scale. The crowd, rather than being concerned, responded with cheers, further amplifying the festive energy. Throughout the parade, the royal family maintained a careful balance between formality and approachability. Charles led with calm authority, Anne displayed elegance and skill, and William showed quiet confidence. Together, they created a visual and emotional harmony that resonated with the spectators. The horses moved in perfect alignment, the music flowed seamlessly, and the crowd remained engaged, captivated by the display of tradition, skill, and human warmth. As the parade reached the center of the square, the crowd's energy seemed to reach its peak. The music swelled, and the royal trio performed a slow, synchronized turn, allowing spectators from all angles to see them clearly. Charles raised his hand in acknowledgement of the applause, Anne nodded and smiled warmly, and William inclined his head with a quiet dignity. It was a moment that perfectly captured the spirit of the day: celebration, tradition, and connection between the monarchy and the people. In these moments, small gestures held great significance. A wave to a group of children, a nod to an elderly couple, a gentle pat on a horse's neck, all conveyed meaning beyond words. The crowd responded with enthusiasm, understanding that these simple actions represented attention, respect, and shared joy. Charles, Anne, and William moved with precision and grace, aware that every motion mattered in creating a memorable and meaningful parade experience. The morning continued to progress, the parade moving smoothly through the square. The energy remained high, the music carried everyone forward, and the horses maintained their elegance and composure. Charles occasionally exchanged subtle signals with Anne and William, ensuring the rhythm, pace, and formation remained flawless. Their teamwork was seamless, demonstrating not only their skill but also the deep bond between them, a combination of trust, respect, and shared purpose that made the parade feel both natural and extraordinary. By late morning, the parade had reached a point where the crowd and the royal family seemed perfectly in sync. Spectators waved, clapped, and cheered, while Charles, Anne, and William responded with gestures of warmth and acknowledgement. The horses moved effortlessly, guided by their skilled riders, and the music provided a majestic backdrop that enhanced the sense of occasion. Every detail, from the polished uniforms to the gentle coordination between riders and horses, contributed to a moment of celebration that was both grand and deeply personal. This part of the parade highlighted the true artistry of ceremonial events. It was not only about appearances, but also about skill, patience, and the ability to connect with others. Charles, Anne, and William demonstrated all of these qualities, leading with dignity while also engaging with the crowd in meaningful ways. Their performance was a testament to careful preparation, experience, and a genuine understanding of what it meant to represent the royal family in a public celebration. The parade had now reached its final stretch, and the streets were filled with a mixture of excitement, pride, and admiration. King Charles, Princess Anne, and Prince William guided their horses with calm authority, knowing that every step of the journey mattered, not only for the tradition they upheld, but for the people who had gathered to witness it. The sunlight reflected off polished boots, shining saddles, and the glistening coats of the horses, creating a scene of elegance and joy that was almost magical in its beauty. Charles glanced briefly at Anne and William as they moved in perfect formation. There was a shared understanding between them, a quiet communication that required no words. Every nod, gesture, and shift in posture conveyed reassurance, coordination, and pride. The trio had led many ceremonies before, yet this parade felt different, filled with an energy that combined celebration, tradition, and personal connection. It was a reminder that the monarchy existed not only in history books, but in living moments like this, shared with thousands of spectators. The crowd's energy had reached a peak. Children waved flags and cheered loudly, some standing on tiptoe to see the royal family better. Adults clapped in rhythm with the music, smiling and calling out words of encouragement. The square through which the parade passed had been decorated with care, adorned with flowers, banners, and historical symbols that reminded spectators of the centuries of tradition they were witnessing. The music swelled, and the harmony of human celebration and ceremonial rhythm created an atmosphere that felt both alive and timeless. As the royal family rode, Charles allowed himself a brief moment to take in the scene. He noticed elderly spectators who had traveled miles to see the parade, families holding small children above their shoulders, and young students waving carefully prepared banners. Each person was a part of the celebration, and each connection mattered. He waved gently to a group of children near the front, and their excited cheers grew even louder, creating a ripple of joy through the square. Anne followed suit, smiling warmly at a young girl holding a handmade card. William inclined his head respectfully toward a small group of elderly people who had waited patiently for hours, offering them a gesture of recognition and warmth. The horses moved gracefully, their hooves striking the pavement with a rhythmic precision that matched the ceremonial music. Each animal seemed to sense the importance of the moment, responding to subtle cues from its rider. Charles, Anne, and William adjusted their reins gently, guiding their horses in a way that ensured smooth movement while maintaining a dignified appearance. The skill required for such precision was immense, and the way the trio managed it effortlessly impressed everyone watching. Despite careful planning, the parade still held small surprises. A sudden gust of wind caused a large banner to flutter violently near the edge of the crowd, momentarily catching the attention of one of the horses. Charles reacted immediately, guiding his horse with a firm yet gentle hand, his voice low and soothing. Anne followed with the same calm precision, whispering reassurance to her mare and adjusting the reins as needed. William mirrored their actions, maintaining his own horse's composure and ensuring that the formation remained intact. These quick responses highlighted the experience, training, and focus required to lead such a grand event, showing the audience the care and responsibility behind the elegance. The spectators, far from being alarmed, responded with even more enthusiasm. Children clapped, adults waved, and the crowd's cheering grew louder as if applauding not only the parade but also the calm handling of unexpected moments. These brief incidents added a sense of realism and human connection, reminding everyone that behind the grandeur of the event were skilled and caring individuals managing each detail with care. As the parade approached the final segment of the route, Charles signaled subtly to Anne and William to prepare for the ceremonial conclusion. The music shifted slightly, rising to a triumphant note that reflected the joy of the celebration. The trio adjusted their posture, their movements synchronized to ensure that the final moments would be visually stunning and emotionally memorable. Horses moved with elegance, riders maintained perfect alignment, and the crowd's excitement created a vibrant, living backdrop. Charles took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of pride, relief, and satisfaction. Leading the parade was more than a ceremonial duty. It was a way to connect with people, share joy, and celebrate life in a meaningful way. Anne and William shared the same sense of fulfillment, their expressions reflecting a combination of focus, grace, and quiet pride. Together, they had led the parade with dignity, skill, and warmth, creating a memorable experience for both participants and spectators. The crowd continued to cheer, waving flags and calling out words of encouragement. Charles allowed his hand to rise in a wave and smiled warmly, and William inclined his head in a gesture of respect. These simple yet meaningful gestures created a connection between the royal family and the people, turning the formal parade into a shared celebration. Children's eyes sparkled with joy, adults beamed with admiration, and even the horses seemed to sense the significance of the moment, moving with calm precision and dignity. As the parade reached the designated final point, the royal trio guided their horses into a slow, synchronized stop. Charles glanced briefly at Anne and William, sharing a quiet moment of acknowledgement for the effort and coordination they had maintained throughout the event. Anne's mare lowered its head gently, a sign of calm completion, while William's horse stood still, perfectly aligned with its companions. The trio's calm and composed presence created a sense of closure and satisfaction, signaling the successful end of the ceremonial journey. The crowd erupted into applause, cheers, and laughter. People waved flags, clapped their hands, and called out expressions of joy and gratitude. Charles, Anne, and William dismounted with careful grace, allowing the horses to be guided to a resting area by the attendants. The animals were groomed, fed, and given time to relax, their calm behavior reflecting the careful preparation and skilled handling by their riders. Charles placed a hand gently on the neck of his horse, whispering words of gratitude and affection, while Anne and William offered similar gestures to their own mounts. The royal family then moved to a small, decorated stage for the ceremonial salute. Charles raised his hand in acknowledgement of the crowd, Anne smiled and waved, and William offered a respectful bow. The spectators responded with sustained applause, cheers, and waves. The moment was both formal and personal, a perfect balance that reflected the purpose of the parade. It was a celebration of tradition, community, and shared joy, and the royal family had managed to convey warmth, grace, and connection throughout. After the public conclusion, Charles, Anne, and William took a brief walk among the crowd in a secured area, allowing close spectators to see them at a more personal level. Children shyly offered hand-drawn cards, adults exchanged brief words of gratitude, and the royal trio responded with kindness and attention. These moments, though less formal, reinforced the bond between the monarchy and the people. Charles knelt slightly to speak to a small child holding a flag. Anne exchanged a few gentle words with an elderly fan, and William accepted a small gift from a young family, all gestures filled with sincerity and warmth. Later, the family returned to a private area where staff had prepared a quiet celebration. Refreshments, light decorations, and flowers reflected the festive yet refined tone of the day. Charles, Anne, and William reflected on the parade, sharing their thoughts on the crowd's enthusiasm, the performance of the horses, and the smooth coordination of the event. They discussed minor challenges, such as gusts of wind and startled animals, noting with quiet satisfaction how each had been managed gracefully. These reflections highlighted the careful planning, skill, and teamwork behind the seemingly effortless event. The sense of accomplishment was strong. Charles felt a deep pride not only in the successful execution of the parade, but in the joy it had brought to thousands of people. Anne and William shared this feeling, recognizing the importance of connecting tradition with personal engagement. The family's ability to balance formality, warmth, and attention to detail had created a memorable experience, one that would be remembered by spectators for years to come. As the day drew to a close, Charles took a quiet moment to look around the palace grounds, now calm and peaceful after the excitement. Anne and William stood beside him, their expressions reflecting a shared sense of fulfillment. They had participated in a living tradition, led a majestic parade, and created meaningful connections with the people they served. The experience reminded them of the importance of duty, preparation, and empathy, and it strengthened the bonds between family, tradition, and community. The story of the parade would be remembered not only in photographs and videos, but in the memories of the people who had witnessed it firsthand. Children would recall the waving hands and bright smiles. Adults would remember the precision and elegance, and the royal family would carry the sense of connection and accomplishment forward into future events. The day had been a celebration of life, service, and tradition, and it concluded with a feeling of satisfaction, joy, and hope. As the sun began to lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the palace, Charles, Anne, and William shared one last glance. There was no need for words. Each understood the significance of the day, the joy they had witnessed, and the tradition they had upheld. The horses, now calm and resting, reflected the successful conclusion of the parade. The crowd, now dispersing with smiles and applause, carried with them the memory of a day when history, celebration, and personal connection had come together in perfect harmony. The parade had ended, but the impact of the day would live on in the hearts of all who had been present. Charles, Anne, and William had led with skill, grace, and warmth, creating a celebration that honored tradition while connecting deeply with the people. It was a reminder that even in formal ceremonies, moments of humanity, kindness, and shared joy could shine brightly, leaving lasting impressions for generations to come.